Welcome back to From the Shed End with myself, T Dot. As always, thank you very much for joining me now. Have to apologise because there was no match preview or match review for the Aston Villa game. As you can hear, my voice was an absolute mess. I sound like Sean Dyche. I've not been 100%, but I'm back. It's only been a week or so, but a week is a long time. And yeah, man, what a performance we put in against Aston Villa. I thought we were going to play the way that we did. I thought we needed to do that. I thought it was going to be a massive test going to Villa. You know, them needing the points. Steven Gerrard's job at literally hanging in by a thread. I thought that, we were going to do a lot more than, I thought Villa were going to do a lot more than they did, but we played really well. I thought it was a good performance from the players. You couldn't really fault anyone. It looked like it was going to be a difficult game. It was very easy for Matty Cash and Leon Bailey down that right side. I think it was Chilwell, Cucurella down the left side for us. But, they had too much space in the first half. And, eventually, Cucurella was just literally, exposed him. I mean, he's clearly, yes, he can play left centre-back, but just because he can play there doesn't mean he has to play there. I think he's one of those... he's naturally preferred to see him on the right as a right wing, as a left wing back or a left back, but not as a centre back because he was getting torn left, right, and centre. Mason Mount again, we have to credit Mason Mount because he puts in these performances, and he does really well. And when he's not doing well, he's criticised fairly. And I think when he's doing well, we have to do the same. We have to praise him. And I think to score back to back, the way that he's done, he's played really well, and he took the goals really well. I mean, the first one, Tyrone Mings, I mean, lapse in concentration, poor defending from him, and in those moments, you have to gamble that the defender's going to make a mistake, and that's what Mason Mount done, and he got a really easy. As much as he had to put it in the back of the net, it was still an easy goal for Mason Mount to score. And I thought the second goal, the free kick, was all what Mason's about. He's one of those players that it only needs a moment for him to do something special. And that was a really good goal. I do feel the goalkeeper, should do better. Martinez should do better there because it's not in the corner. It's down the middle. It's in the middle almost of the goal. And whether he's wrong-footed or he's unsighted of where the ball's going to end up, it's as a goalkeeper, it's not good enough. But it's still a really good free kick from Mason Mount. But I want to talk about Brentford and Chelsea, big game tomorrow night. I just wanted to touch on the Villa game without not doing the preview or the review of it. But let's talk about Brentford and Chelsea, a game that I think last season, I'm pretty sure we played them in October last season, and won 2-0. So it's almost to the day I'd expect that we beat them 2-0 last time. Now, Brentford are a team, they're ninth in the league, they're doing relatively well. Yes, results have gone against them, but you see that they've got players in that team that can actually cause problems. And I do wonder tomorrow whether, with Manchester United in mind at the weekend, what potentially will Graham Potter do? He's obviously won 5 of his last Premier League matches since the start of the month. But you look at Brentford, Mbumo, Tony, Wissa, Jensen, Ben Mee in defence as well. I mean, they've got a good spine about them, and they're a team for me that can cause problems. Can cause massive problems. I just look at the team that we might have to put up against them, and you have to question, will Graham Potter trust putting a back 5? Will he really want to try and put Raheem Sterling at right wing back, which for me didn't work against Aston Villa. You look at Cucurella playing left centre back, didn't work. Do you want to try and rest Thiago Silva potentially and not have him play? These, for me personally, I wouldn't start with Thiago Silva. I think I'd go with a back 4 maybe, and maybe consider playing Azpilicueta at right wing back, or right back I should say. Maybe rest Silva and then allow Loftus-Cheek to play in that midfield with Jorginho, Kovacic as well, Mason Mount. But I think you've got to. Sometimes you have to shake things up and change things in formation, and I think we have to do that against Brentford. They're going to be a physical team. Set plays, corners, free kicks. They're going to be a threat. So I think and I'm sure Graham Potter will know that more than anyone. But I think this is for me a game that we have to go out and adapt, to how Brentford are going to potentially try and play. Yeah, I mean, I would look at maybe a 3 in midfield. I wouldn't really change much in my attack, but it's hard to tell what a Chelsea team's going to look like these days because it changes so often, and we might end up with a back 5, the 2 wing backs and the 3 centre backs. But I just think with Manchester United in mind, this could be a game where you do rest Thiago Silva. I thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek played really well in midfield, so I'd be reluctant to take him out of the team. But is it a game where Christian Pulisic comes in, Conor Gallagher? Do you bring those players in? Do you rest Mason Mount and Sterling for Saturday's game against Manchester United? It's a tough one. I'm gonna give you guys my team prediction, who I would go with, and like I said, I've gone for the back 4, which seems very open at the moment. Let's bring those closer together. Big gap between Koulibaly and Chalobah. I thought Chalobah, I think I've said on here before, I think he's one of those players that just doesn't really get the opportunity to play consistently for the club. And I think we need to start bringing Chalobah into the game a bit more. Obviously Thiago Silva's 38, really good player for us, but I just think we need to start thinking now about Chalobah becoming one of those players that is nurtured into the team a bit more, plays a bit more consistently. Maybe these are the sort of games where you give Chalobah the opportunity to play a bit more, and I think he's proven that. He's played in some big games last season already, so it's not unnatural for him to be playing. The only thing that worries me without Thiago Silva being in that back 4 is the experience, and that's probably why I would go with Cesar Azpilicueta, who you look at the back line and you would say Aspie's probably the one that's got the most experience. But Koulibaly, I like him as a defender. I just think he's quite prone to mistakes, or he's prone to pick up a yellow card, or So I think we need to have someone like Aspie in the back. If we play in the back 4, I think it suits Azpilicueta a lot more because you're going to allow the likes of Kovacic and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, to drift into these roles here as well. Georgie might sit back a bit deeper in terms of the front, in terms of that 3 midfield. But I think it'd be crazy, in my opinion, to have a back 5 against Brentford, leaving maybe, I don't know, would it be Loftus-Cheek or Sterling at right wing back? I just can't see that happening myself. The luxury that we do have is we can revert and change this formation. You could potentially play Aspie as your right centre back with Ruben Loftus-Cheek as your right wing back, to make it almost that back 5 and the 2 wing backs as well. So you could have, a right centre back as Aspie and maybe have the 2 in midfield. Maybe bring Mason Mount central a bit more to it up front in Sterling and Aubameyang, or Pulisic, Aubameyang, Havertz and Aubameyang. I think there'll be changes. I think I do, but personally, I've gone for the team that I would want to see tomorrow playing. I think it'd be difficult to play and not try and hit the ground running with this team. I think we have to try and get the first goal and go out there with the intention to try and score first. Because I think, one of the things I've noticed with Graham Potter is the pressing, the urgency to get the ball back or to get the ball forward when we have possession of the ball. You're seeing a lot more of that. And I think the way that Mason Mount is playing is giving him that freedom to play a bit more in that more 10 role, really, which is, I felt like he was playing a bit more of against Aston Villa, coming into these areas here and just making it difficult for the Aston Villa defenders. And I think he needs to do that, make their life difficult, try and feed balls into Sterling and Aubameyang as well. I think he's definitely more effective playing in that central role, almost down the middle of the 2. So I look at that formation. It has options to change it during the game. Aspie, I think, potentially would suit more of a right centre back role in this game, but it's really hard to tell what Graham Potter will do in the game. Aspili, fuck's sake, man, what's wrong with me? Kepa in goal for me has to be a starter. I think he's proven, not just off the back of the Villa game, the amount of saves he made, the triple save at one point that he done as well, but he's just proven that he's the more informed goalkeeper. He's the one that looks more likely to save a goal. And it's just unfortunate that there's only one position to be filled in that role. And, I'm sure, Mendy, when he gets his opportunity, or Bettinelli, when he gets one, they'll try and take it just as much. But I think at the moment, Kepa needs to keep that number one position in the middle of the sticks. It's like I said, it's going to be difficult to judge, because I think, it's easy to sit here and try and predict a team. But even with the injuries that we've got, we still have some really good players that can come into this team. Like I mentioned, Conor Gallagher, Christian Pulisic might come into it as well. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Dennis Zakaria over the last 48 hours or so. A player that still has not featured at all. I'm still convinced he's here to go and shop in Harrods and enjoy some STK meals or wherever he's eating these days. But I'm pretty certain come January he won't be at the club. Clearly doesn't look like he was in Graham Potter's plans, or maybe even Thomas Tuchel's if he was still here. So it's a bit of a strange one. It does leave us limited in midfield who we can go for, especially in that sort of double pivot, central midfield, defensive midfield roles. But I would potentially like to see Jorginho and Kovacic there. As I always say, I feel like Kovacic brings that energy going forward, and I think defensively Jorginho at times is arguably our best player in that position. So I think for me, if it meant, that we don't have to play Raheem Sterling at right wing back, I would keep Ruben Loftus-Cheek there. I'd put Aspie at right centre back. Cucurella or Ben Chilwell was a difficult one, but I do feel like Ben Chilwell might get the nod on Saturday against Manchester United. So this might give Cucurella the opportunity to go out and perform well. I thought he didn't have the best of games against Aston Villa at left centre back, to be fair, but I do think he's going to put in a better shift than he did against Aston Villa. And the same with Koulibaly as well, coming on as a sub. Sometimes that's difficult to get the rhythm of the game, but he's got to do better as well, for me, in my opinion. But I'm hoping for a win. I'm hoping that we can get the 3 points. I don't see why we can't. At the end of the day, it's Brentford. We should be beating them. Like I said, we beat them last season around this time as well in October. So I think it was 2-0. So this should be a game that we need to try and build on and progress. Go into that game against Manchester United, a massive game against Manchester United, and we just have to perform well. And like I said, this feels like the new manager bounce, but it seems to be ongoing, which I'm glad about. I think we just need to continue to do that. But let me know what your predictions will be. Let me know what your lineups will be as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As I said, don't forget to go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Check out all the podcast episodes. This has been T. Dot from the Shed End. Until next time, stay safe and thank you very much for watching.